Communication and Information System is hosting a webinar ahead of the Vooma Vaccination Weekend in an effort to address vaccine hesitancy. Among other things, the webinar will also address the Vooma Vaccination Voucher, which is an incentive to people who are over 60 years of age to get the jab. Let's cross there now live.
You know, you might be traveling, going to see your mother, and you're not vaccinated. You might be going there with the virus, and the consequences could be dire. But thank you very much.
Thank you, Chief Matsile. And there, ladies and gentlemen, one of our participants, Musa Magubane, who is the Director of Community Mobilization and Empowerment, has exactly given a tip on that. He said that we must really push a Save Our Festive Season campaign and message to ensure that every one of us in this webinar sends out that message. And Musa, on the website of the government, David can elaborate on that in a minute, there's a lot of material in multiple languages that speaks about saving our festive season and that kind of messaging that Chief Matsile was speaking about in terms of, you know, not taking a virus to our elderly folks, etc. And yes, again, a very powerful element that Musa has raised, testimonials. I think from government side, as GCIS, we really are asking every one of the active participants in this webinar, please can you be the ambassadors of testimonials? Please can we share those testimonials of people that we know who are saying, I survived. I personally have shared my testimony in many places. I survived. I'm asthmatic, and I nearly died in January. So I survived it, and I share that everywhere. And it was also because of the amazing medical care that we have in our country across all sectors. Friends, I think it's time now to turn to our next participant, who is really a South African who doesn't need much introduction. Someone who is very, very well known to all of us. Someone who is very dear to many South Africans. And someone who has served our country in many capacities. And that, ladies and gentlemen, is no other than Reverend Father Smangaliso Mkachwa, a gentleman who hails from Mpumalanga. And Father Mkachwa, I just have to report that the statistics in Mpumalanga province are not where we would want them to be now. The home province of Mpumalanga, the numbers are quite low, and there seems to be quite a, lots of questions being asked by communities in Mpumalanga. Father Mkachwa, as many of you know, is an ordained Catholic priest who had been called into the ministry in 1965 and has worked extensively at the very influential body called the Southern African Bishops' Conference, a Catholic Bishops' Conference. He has a very proud anti-apartheid legacy, having served in various organizations, being banned, being tried and found not guilty in 1983. He served as a patron of the UDF when it became a de facto resistance movement within our borders. In the democratic era, Father Mkachwa has served our nation in many capacities. He's been a Deputy Minister of Education in those early cabinet years, a member of the National Assembly, and in those mid-90s, a member of the National Executive Committee of the governing party. Many of you would know him as the executive mayor of the city of Tshwane, our capital city. But some of you might not know that he also chaired the United Cities Association of Local Government, which is the global local government structure all over the world, where he was able to take the message of our country and who we are to municipalities right across the world. At this point in time, Father Mkachwa serves as the head of the Moral Regeneration Movement. The MRM is one of the proudly South African bodies that looks at ethics and values, that looks at building the caring society, that looks at mobilizing that character of us as a nation that says we're a winning nation, we're better when we stand together. And ladies and gentlemen, we thought when we're trying to talk about a webinar that's really getting into the hearts and minds of our society, a webinar that's speaking to different sectors that still have a little bit of questions to be asked, that Father Mkachwa might have a very powerful message to share. So friends, without further ado, I'd like to invite Father Mkachwa from the MRM to share his thoughts on vaccination and some of the work that he thinks is going on, and what is he saying to the nation on the eve of the Vooma weekend. Father Mkachwa, you are very welcome, sir. Over to you, please. Father, how's the technology serving you that side? Are you with us, Father Mkachwa? We have
hello.
Wonderful. Welcome to you, Father. Over to you, sir.
Can you hear me now?
We hear you loud and clear, Father Mkachwa.
Okay,
welcome.
Well, first of all, just to sincerely apologize for joining the conversation a bit late, but not late. Let me explain why. I had wanted to use my laptop for purpose of this discussion, which I think is very important. And a laptop usually, first of all, is very easy to handle, and it enhances communication rather than a cell phone. But unfortunately, there was something wrong with my my laptop, so I resorted now to the cell phone. Hence, therefore, the some difficulties that I've experienced. However, having said so, though, I've been with you almost right from the beginning. I followed Chief Machila's speech from the beginning to the end, and later all the inputs that have been made, the questions and so on, although you could not hear me. Now, having said that, I think I'd like to commend you, Michael, and your wonderful team for putting together this webinar. In fact, long overdue, particularly at this point in time when the country is facing so many challenges, and COVID-19 pandemic just being one of them, with all its rather unfortunate and negative consequences, which have impacted negatively on the lives of people, on entrepreneurial initiatives, places of worship and workers' organizations. I mean, practically impacted negatively on everything that we have done. But the good news at the same time is that that situation has forced everybody to rethink the way we communicate, the way we work together. And from that point of view, maybe it's not such a bad idea, but also given us time for more reflection, for reading, and so on and so on. Now, I thought I would just make a few comments and then maybe take questions or listen to other inputs and so on. Because as MRM, maybe for your information, we have actually a footprint in all the provinces. And our structures, of course, are not at exactly the same level of development and viability and so on. But the truth of the matter is that we're in all the provinces. And therefore, when there is a challenge such as this one, all what we do, we normally communicate with our coordinators in the various provinces and ensure that they spread the word, that they also take the program, whatever the program may be, take it forward, but in a way that is uniform. so that you don't find someone in the...
Look, we gotta go. I'm so sorry that we have to come out of this. Time is not on our side, but we'll try to bring you the big takeaways from that important webinar with regards to vaccine hesitancy and the lead up to the Vooma vaccination drive this weekend. Stand by for that on SABC News.